Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today while we talk about visually persuading our viewers in regards to our hospital advertising and the way we represent our hospitals to our potential patients. So, as I begin this, I want to cover one quote, and I want us to remember this quote throughout this presentation as we highlight and cover the varying questions that were asked during our think tank session. But media critic and journalist Walter Lippmann stresses the importance of images in affecting a person's attitude due to the way images are more likely to be recognized and ignite emotional bonds. So as we go through this, it's important for us to highlight three areas, um, specifically cultural familiarity, viewer perspective, and emotional appeal, which we'll define throughout this presentation. But the product that we're trying to show is going to be the hospital, and we want to make sure that the way we show this to our patients creates emotion and creates an emotional bond. So not only will they want to visit our hospital, but they'll feel emotionally vested in visiting our hospital. Okay, so to begin, we're going to cover Carol's question. And within Carol's question, she highlighted the question around our hospitals feeling American enough as they were. So it's important for us to reflect the communities we serve. And within this, our communities we serve vary in demographic, location, and culture. So once again, we're talking about our hospital locations in New York, Denver, Phoenix, and Miami. And one important aspect of this discussion is cultural familiarity. And in the Module 4 discussion points within our visual communication in the media lecture, cultural familiarity is defined and highlights the fact that people are attracted to images that show cultures to which they belong. So what I want to share with you is a couple quick facts around that. So our four cities all vary in cultural demographic and representation. In New York, the primary demographics are Caucasian and African American. In Denver and Phoenix, there's a much higher Hispanic population than in New York. Also in Phoenix specifically, it's 50-50 male to female, so we want to make sure that our pictures include both male, female, multiple demographics. And in Miami, once again, we have a Hispanic culture, but really focused on the Cuban culture within that Hispanic demographic. So this is important for us to recognize because we don't want all of our advertisements to come across the same and our images to come across the same. Because once again, cultural familiarity focuses on attracting potential customers, consumers, patients to cultures to which they belong. So a couple of example images we have right below here. You're going to have these mixed demographics. You have male, female, different cultures represented there as well. But this is a good way that we can make sure that we're representing varying cultures within our advertising and making sure those cultures that are represented attach to the demographics that we're serving. Okay, so for Daniel's question, we need to show more than just families in our hospitals. So not all of our patients are going to have families or large families, or perhaps family might have a negative connotation to it. So when we talk about viewer perspective, which once again we can garner a definition from our Module 4 lecture in visual communication in the media, visual perspective shows viewers what they want to see. So we want to show our viewers multiple doctors helping a single patient, one doctor helping an African American female patient, and then a nurse just hanging out with a kid. Maybe the kid's the patient, maybe their parents being helped out. But once again, we want to spread out that regional influence and that family structure because it might not just be families that are coming into our hospital. All right, so our next question was Caleb's, and we want to make sure that pictures are relevant to our product. So for Caleb, we were focused upon showing pictures of outdoor fun, what we do um, outside of the hospital. And while that's important, not all of our cities will be represented effectively within having just outdoor fun. And that ties back to that cultural familiarity that we mentioned a couple slides ago. So what I have below, these are four different pictures that show the skylines of our varying cities. So top left, we have Miami. To the right, we have Denver. Bottom left, we have Phoenix. And bottom right is New York. So as you can see, those cultures or that skyline and that environment varies from city to city. So for us just to have one singular photo of somebody playing outside in the woods, when you're really not going to see that in New York City, or vice versa, you look at Miami, for us to have a big picture of beaches and palm trees, that might not take well to Denver. So it's going to be important for us to leverage these varying skylines and to create pictures and attach pictures to our hospitals and that represent the environment that our patients are in. All right. So next question was posed by Heather, and Heather's question was, "What do we want our patients to see?" And that's a very positive question. So we're going to talk about emotional appeal in this slide. Once again, from our visual communication in the media module for information, emotional images can appeal to the viewer's emotion and lead them to change their behavior. So what do our patients want to see? Here are some great examples. So top two pictures we have operating room spaces where patients are being taken care of, looks very technologically safe and new and bright and sterile. And then the bottom two pictures are those recovery areas, right? So bottom left is waiting room for the family for the rehab center. Bottom right is very home looking recovery like patient room that way. So once again, another good way for us to evoke emotional appeal rather within the images we are sharing. Lastly, we're going to look at Samuel's question. So Samuel's question was positive images of the results of treatment. And once again, this ties to emotional appeal. So we want to cover, once again, images that appeal to the viewer's emotions, so it leads them to change their behavior to visit our hospitals. We also want to show viewers what they want to see when we talk about that viewer perspective. So we see happy patients, happy families, a kid doing a dance in the bottom left there, a young patient surrounded by all the doctors that helped get them better. And in the top left, we have a child in bed smiling in the hospital, but you have a pink blanket and pillowcase instead of more of a sterile look. But just really, we see a lot of happiness and enjoyment from those pictures. And that's really what we want to capture in this final slide when we talk about emotional appeal. So thank you for joining me for this brief presentation. I look forward to your feedback and input into this discussion further. Thank you. Have a great night.